Yo, 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 what's up, Kwanza Global family? Back again with another episode. This is episode 26. Episode 26, baby. You back again. This is your boy, Mayokun. And yeah, you want to start this episode off right. Um, as you guys can see by the title, today's episode is Turn on the Lights. Turn on the Lights. Um, yeah, man. How I came with this title, man, is just I don't know. It's funny. I was just looking for uh my chain, my you know my cross chain, and it fell right, and it just fell on the floor, and the lights were it was dark, you know. It was dark in the room, and I had to turn on the lights to see it. I was kind of like, and I and I wanted to turn off the lights, so like I didn't have to, you know what I mean. I wanted to like leave the lights off. It's like, oh, I see it right there. But then I was like, I actually don't even. I kind of forgot where it was because it got mad dark in the room, and I turned on the lights again, picked up the chain, and then turned off the lights again, so I could relax and everything. But it was just funny. It just hit me, and I'm like, man, sometimes we move through life and we have to turn on the lights. Like we are moving in we're moving through life in the dark, you know. Literally, like it's a bad, like, you know what I mean, like there's no other way to put it. It's like we moving through life, and we're trying to guess and figure out and try to, you know, when you put your hands in front of you when you're in the dark, you're trying to feel around, see where you're going, feel, you know what I mean, at least get a sense of where you're at, what's going on, so you don't bump into anything. Yeah, that's how we're, some of us, you know, might be living our lives. And you know, it could be why we're not getting anywhere. It's because we can't even see where we're going. We don't know where we're going. We're in the dark, you know. We're kind of just guessing. We're kind of just feeling around, probing and looking, and like trying to see something that we can't see. We can't see anything. So it's like, what are you even trying to see? What are you even trying to find? Where are you trying to go? And even when you get there, do you even know you're there? You don't even know you're there. So what are you gonna do? You're like, all right, you're trying to get to this point. It's like, all right, what if you're there? What if you're at that point, but you just don't know what to do there because you're kind of in the dark. You don't even know what to do. Where you in the place where you're at, you don't know what to do. You're just there, and you're just there because you're in the dark. Like literally, like guys, if you guys go, like, wait till it's night, for instance, you know what I mean, wherever you guys are at in the world right now, if you're at home or in your office, wherever you're at, if you can right now, you know, turn off the lights. Like, probably you should preferably wait till night, so it's actually, you know, dark, you know what I mean. So there's no light coming in at all, and really, like, drop something on the floor, put a pencil on the floor, turn off the lights, and, you know, just look at the pencil real quick, see where you dropped it, turn your head, turn off the lights, and then try to look back, look for that, where you put that pencil. I mean, you know, some of you might get a general idea of where that pencil is at, but it won't be one, two, three. You know what I mean? Like, put the pencil, like, you know, a couple, you know, inches, or, not a, obviously won't be, maybe it probably won't be a far distance, but just put it right in front of you. Then go turn off the lights, and, you know, where you pretty much can't see anything, but you just have a general idea of where it probably is. You'll see it's not so quick, because everything is kind of just, your sensors of sight is not there. It's not as strong because you can't see anything. You know what I mean? There's nothing there. You have no vision. All right, and you're kind of going, and you're kind of like, I remember the pencil being the general area, and you're like, I remember. So now you have to use the memory, because you can't use your sight because you don't even see the pencil. You know what I mean? Because it's too dark. So you're kind of like, I remember it being here, right? Like, I mean, all things being, um, you know, as it is, the pencil did not move unless something moved it, but the pencil didn't move, right? So it should be where you remembered it to be, but you have to use your memory to know exactly where it is. And You know what I mean? There's nothing to really confirm that it's there for real. You kind of have to go in that general area, and it's tough. You really actually have to use your memory. It's like it's right. It was. You have to feel around. Like that's how it is being in the dark in life. That's a terrible way to move around, to navigate life, to go through life, right? Because it just really, you know what I mean, you need a guide, right? And you know what I mean, and that guide for me personally, I know is Jesus Christ. That's my guide, right? When I'm in the dark, he's my guide, and the reason he can guide me is because he's the light, right? So someone could even guide you. Like, let's say someone came in that room with you. It's like, yo, like bring one of your siblings in the room to help you find, or your parent help you find that pencil, and do that same thing. Like, put the pencil over there. You guys see it. It's right there. You guys could go get it easily. Now turn off the lights this time. No light coming through, and both of you. Let's see one of you try to guide one another. You can't, because you're still, both of you are in the same predicament. You're both in the dark, so you're kind of going in that general area, and you really just have to use your memory to see, to really find it, because it's so dark. Like, you know it's there, so unless it rolled over a little bit more after you turn off the light, it's still gonna be there. But you have to use your memory and see, because you're not, you can't trust your vision, because your vision is pointless unless you got night vision, like an owl, like an owl, or some of these night animals, and you could just see through the dark. But as far as I know, humans can't see that well in the dark. You know what I mean? That's not how we were, how we were made to see so clearly through the dark. So I mean, it'd be hard. So even if you have someone with you, to help you, I mean, it's still gonna be hard for you, because you're still both in the dark. So there's really no one can hold your hand through it. It's kind of, you're both in the same position. But with God, Jesus Christ is my God, because he is the light. So what I mean, so he can see, even, so when he comes in and into my life, and he helps me and guides me through my life, it's because he's coming in, and he's the light in the darkness for me. So that darkness disappears, because when he comes in and guides me, he's that light. So once he comes into the room, now it's a different story, because he's literally light. He's literally the light. He's literally the way. You know what I mean? He's literally the answer to it. So he comes in, that darkness disappears. I can see and reach for that pencil right there, pick it up. I don't have to rely on me remembering that it's there, and me trying to almost recreate where it was in my head, like based off the memory when like was there. Now it's dark there, so I'm kind of feel my way around it, and it's like, oop. And also trying not to bump into anything, mind you. So maybe there's a bed on the side. You also have to think of that and all that stuff. So all these factors come in now. So it's like, in life, when we do not have that light, things get dark, obviously. Things are dark, and things are visionless. They lack vision. They lack a sense of anything. You don't even know what's around you. You're not aware. You lack awareness. You're not able to see what's next to you, what's behind you, what's on the floor. You can't, right? It's because everything is dark. So you lose all of that. So like everything, even your where even if you hear something, you don't even, like, in the room, and if it's dark, it's like maybe you can hear where it's coming from, but you don't know exactly where. You could even have a general sense, oh, it's coming from the left side of the room, but you wouldn't be able to pinpoint exactly where, unless you kind of go in that general direction, and maybe that sound keeps, the alarm keeps on sounding, and you kind of get to that area, but you're in the dark, so you can't even see the source of where it's coming from, right? So let's say your alarm is going off in the room and it's dark. You kind of have to go towards that sound, but and also be aware of your surroundings, so you don't bump into anything, assuming there's stuff in the room, right? And all of that. So it's kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, if you step when you're alive and you're not really aware of your surroundings, it'll cause confusion. It's chaos. You're just all over the place. There's no direction, there's no vision, there's nothing. You have to turn on the lights. How do you do that? We cannot do that in our own strength, because there's sometimes in life we're in the dark, and it's out of our control. It's not a matter of us putting ourselves in that position. Sometimes in life things happen, situations happen, you know, things happen in life, period. We all know this. We've all, this is one of the things we can all relate to as, human beings, that we've all been put in a position in our lives at one point in or another. And if you haven't yet, at some point it just will inevitably, where we're in the dark in a sense, where we don't know what to do next, what to say next, where to go next, where we don't know. We're in that position where we don't know. We're literally lost. When you're in the dark, you become lost. You don't even know which way to turn, right? So it's like, this is practical. This is just a practical, part of life. We need light. Imagine, you know what I mean? That's why this you have to put your headlights on at night so people can see you. You know what I mean? Let's say you're trying to change lanes and someone doesn't have their headlights on at night, and you're trafficating and you're about to go, and this person on the left of you is coming onto that left lane. You're in the middle lane, say you, right? And you're gonna trafficate to the left lane. But that guy behind you who's trying to trafficate to that left lane too, and he's speeding up a little bit, doesn't have his headlights on, and you're trafficating too. Your reflexes are quick enough so you kind of, swerve back. But it's like you didn't really, you didn't even, you just see him at last moment, and you're like, you didn't really see him because his lights weren't on, so there was no indication, there was no way for you to see his car, because he would, it's in the dark, it's very dim, it's not very, evident that he's coming that way, because there was no light to shine in front of your car to come, to for you to view, and for you to see it behind you coming through, and through that, when you look in that rearview mirror. So it's so important. You see how important light is, and we, you in our everyday lives, we need it. You know what I mean? They make movies about it being pitch dark for hours on end and how crazy it is, because it's just chaos. Things go on at night, and that you don't, that you're not able to see as clearly. You're not able to, do things as clearly. So it's just so, that's why light is such an important thing. You know what I mean? But because we're so used to it, it's like, wow. But there's places in the world, where light is not constant. It's not a constant power. It's not constant power in certain places of the world, and they have to live like that. And not only is light, important for vision and being able to see, but it's a source. You know, it's a source as well. It's something that we can use to, you know, not only guide us, but push us through, push us through. You know, like your power, microwaves, all of this thing, refrigerators. Um, we're talking electricity, all these things that it helps us do. So light has very crucial, important functions in life. So light, in the spiritual sense, is very important, because in God, knowing He's the light, knowing He's our source, is the reason why that we can't even, you know, if you there's ways to go about life, and how would I say it? You haven't realized yet that it's God as your, yes, as your source, as your light, as the reason why you're doing what you're doing, and you're able to, you know push through and get through those tough times, because God is not, he's gonna, he's there regardless, of your, how would I say, acknowledgement, or without you really realizing it. He's still there. That's just how good He is. But His light is not limited or restricted, to whether you are in the know, and in the, you're able to, for you to, whether or not you're really in the know of Him being the reason for it, right? So even if you're not in the know of it, and even if you are in the know, and you know that He's the reason why, He's your light, He's your God, and all of that, He still powers you. That's how strong, that His light is enough to power us all. You know what I mean? That's why you see people successful in various areas, of, from throughout history, whether or not they acknowledge, the, God's power, God's might, and His light over their lives. It doesn't matter. That's, God's light is sufficient and able to be applied to us all. You know what I mean? It's an inevitable thing. So it's powerful. But a lot of us, again, where the places where it is dark, us being in the know and knowing, who the ultimate source of light is, the ultimate source of power is, us knowing that, you know, is important, because if when we don't, then there's nowhere for us to go. It's like what light switch do we turn on? Where do we turn on in that sense, to be able to get through those particular times of those particular moments, those particular, days and, moments in our lives where it is dark. How do we get through that if we aren't in the know of who the source of that light is, who the light is, the ultimate light is, the the ultimate source of it all, that keeps us going, that shines, that is the lamp to our feet, the light, of our to our path. If we don't know that, then, how do we can't tap into that when we are in the dark and we're lost, right? Um, it's important to know that, because then we can save ourselves from going, further and further into kind of this place of confusion, or uh, of no way out. It seems like, but God always, makes a way. But you also have to be able to grab onto that, to get that. How do I put it? When that way is being shown to you, you have to recognize it, and just be able to, take the opportunity that's there, or God's given you, a way out, um, or, really showing Himself. You know what I mean? Showing Himself in your life in that way. Unfortunately, people don't really get the message, and there's a way out that's clearly God, providing a way for you. But some people will tend to give the credit to themselves and just their persistence, that their strength and their persistence and their no quit, no give up, no, not saying no attitude, is what got them through, when it really wasn't. You know what I mean? Like, people will say, like, they're on their last leg and then they just broke through. It's like, is it a coincidence, or that was your way out? That was the way God was revealing Himself to you. And I think that is something you have to kind of find out and understand, that, God is always there. Now, is your knowledge of that, does it meet, what I mean, that truth? That's what we have to kind of think about, because the truth is always there. But if you don't recognize it, or if you don't recognize it as the truth, don't see it as the truth, it's kind of just, it's working for you. That truth is actually working in your favor. But if you don't, you can't really relish and really live in the power that truth gives, if you don't recognize it, if you don't believe it as truth. So that's why there's people who are benefiting from that truth, which is that God is the light of our lives. He's the reason behind all the, success that we attain. He's the strength behind it, all of that. Like, he's in the picture, whether we like it or not, whether we want to acknowledge it or not. He's in the picture. in so many ways. He's there. God has principles, and if you go by those principles, you know what I mean. There's success behind those principles. That he will back, because he does not lie about anything he says. That are that go that are according to his principles, and what he says he is, who he says he is, all of that stuff. There's success behind it, all of that. There's success behind it. So it's gonna work regardless whether you want to acknowledge that he's there or not. But there's so much more power in knowing that he is the reason behind your success. He's the reason behind your life, progressing and elevating. There's so much power in that, in knowing that truth. Way more than someone who's benefiting from that success, but they don't know that truth. You know what I mean? So knowing that truth is important, because then your life you can there's so many different areas of your life you can you be able to benefit from that truth, right? Not just financially speaking, but in every area of your life. You know what I mean, relationship wise, and just you know what I mean, just in your own well being. There's so many things that can uh, uh help you with when in knowing that powerful truth. So knowing God is the light, You know what I mean? Without a doubt, is so important to know, and to believe. You really have to turn on the lights. I mean, it's just that simple. Like turning, you have to turn on the lights and really just live your life. I mean, turn on. I mean, it's a practical thing. I mean, with with the examples we talked about in the beginning, just turn on the lights is a practical thing. It's a needed thing. We need lights, and it's just you can't just you can't go through life in the dark, and it happens though. It happens that way, where we're just in those situations, but you're not going to get far. You're not going to get far, maneuvering yourself through the dark, and just trying to feel your way around, and trying to and just doing guesswork, right? So understanding, where who the true light is. You know what I mean? Where the true source of light is, who the true source of light is, where it is, who it is so crucial. It is, because it's a sense of security. It's a sense of peace. There's so much to gain from understanding, you know, this light. You know what I mean? The light. God is there waiting for you to really just embrace the 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 power His light gives. Um, just being alive and having life is a perfect example of his light, you know? And I think that, I mean, it's really just, I mean, it's just I mean, it's a powerful revelation. Um, One that I know, but it's just something that what's great to me is that it's also a revelation that came to me that God gave to me to talk about, as well. You know what I mean? Just in a very um unique way, to as well. So it's like it's important. Like you really, I mean, it's really important. Like it just is. As it's as important as it is in those examples that we talked about earlier. Like literally just try to put on the lights and find something. It's just so difficult. It's more difficult than you think, right? Because you're so used to seeing everything, and having that constant source of light, of power, right? When you don't, it's a different story, right? That's just like you could literally, practically, see that and experience that. But that same thing literally applies though in the spiritual sense, in the, in which is as real as the things that we can see. It's still just as real. You know what I mean? It's real. And knowing that God is the light of our lives is so important, because everything changes. The way you see the world will change. It just inherently, the way you see the world changes, the way you move change, everything will change, because it's a new, you have vision now. You literally, the vision is there. The way you see things is changed, because you can see much better now. You don't have to tiptoe. You don't have to shuffle your feet. You don't have to be, you don't have to be super, cautious of what's around you, because you can see it. You're aware. Your eyes are open to it. It's clear as day, right? Because you have that light. You know where the light is. You know where the light is. You know who the light is. So it's on for you, right? You know this. And it's a truth that can't be denied, right? So that's, which is, it's so important to know. It's so important to know, where your light comes from. Who the true light is, right? You cannot, because I mean, there's people, you can just not credit it to yourself as much as you may want to, but you really have to look back and think, was that you? Was that, it almost seems too good to be true. And it's not, because you know what I mean, God is always there, but in the fact that it's too good to be true, that it was you that just so happened when you just felt like giving up, or you just felt like it couldn't get any worse, or it was just like you were just grinding, and it just felt like the fact that you got that far and you didn't fall. Is it you? So you know what I mean, the it's not of your own strength. You know what I mean? It's not a surprise you didn't fall, because it wasn't your own strength, right? So it's you kind of have to have some type of, you have to humble yourself and have some humility to have such a perspective and look at it that way. And not to say that you didn't play your own part, but there's also a part where you have to say where you so, because then how can you reconcile, you know you certain things, not, you getting out of this situation, right? And then someone else may not, you know what I mean? It's kind of like there's certain things where you cannot just attribute it to just, all right, luck, or just the fact that that it's your strength somehow, right? Because it's just not, there are certain things that just aren't repeatable, you know if that was the case, if it was just your own strength, if it was just, if it was only left to you, you know what I mean? If it was just left to you, it was only that, if that was, you know if it was only left up to you, how things would have turned out. So there's certain things we have to change our perspective on and really look at in a different way, and see that, God is really the source behind, the reason behind all of this. You know what I mean? How far you've gotten with, the place that you're at, as far as success and all of that, and where you're going. So it's very important, period, to again understand that that light in your life needs to be there. Otherwise, again, in darkness, you're just gonna get, just pure darkness. It's just, I mean, it's confusion. It's just nothingness. There's no sense of purpose. There's no vision. There's no direction. There's no there's no warmth, there's no comfort there. There's fear there, because you always have to be cautious because you don't even know what's around you. There's no, there's no awareness. There's nothing that you can. You have to be on your toes. There's no sense of security. There's none of that. There's no. You can't have peace living like that. You can't have joy living like that. So you see all the things that darkness gives when you're in the dark, and then the complete opposite is true when you have the light, and you have that peace, you have that joy, you have that security, you have that warmth, you have that comfort, you have all of that peace, that joy, that you feel that love, you feel all of that like come into play when you have that light really come into effect. You don't realize, when you apply it practically, though, you can see the same also applies in the spiritual sense as well, though. You can see the importance, the importance, how crucial it is, how important is the priority to really understand who the true light is, who the source of the light that we need to have in our lives. To get that, to understand that, to know that, to believe that, changes your life, period, forever. It just does. Inherently so. It just does. You're once you're plugged into the source, you know what I mean, you have power to do things that do things and go out and do things that otherwise, without being and operating in that truth, you wouldn't even attempt to do, or think you can do, or really even be in that space to do, because you're just you're moving around in the dark, right? So episode 26 is turn on the lights. Turn on the lights. Turn on the lights and see what you've been missing, and see what God has for you. See what God has for you. God has laid out for you. Turn on the lights. Turn on the lights. Yeah. That's episode 26. Turn on the lights. Yeah. And catch y'all again next week, Friday, each and every Friday, for another drop. That will be episode 27. But yeah, hope y'all got something from this episode 26. Appreciate y'all and all the support. And yeah, episode 26, Kwanza Global. We out. Peace.